So make sure you take your crawler for walks. It's the best. Hey, it's Desert Billy Bronson here, and today I want to go over some pros and cons on an Atlas transfer case. There's a lot of pros, and there's not very many cons, but I also want to show you a couple tips and a couple tricks on what you can use your front dig or your rear dig or your low rear wheel drive, and obviously those low gears, to make sure that you get the best out of your Atlas transfer case. So one great thing about having an Atlas transfer case is that if your crawler isn't getting enough time or attention, you can always go take it for a walk, and it's also healthy for you and it's healthy for your rock crawler. So that way you guys can bond with each other, you guys can really get to know each other, you can make sure she's in good working condition, all because of that Atlas low gear. It really opens up the bonding opportunities with you and your rock crawler. So make sure you take your crawler for walks. It's the best. So one key feature on having an Atlas transfer case is front dig. It's most important. That way when you're stuck in a spot, a rock in a hard place, and you're wanting to not do the Austin Powers on the trail because that takes forever and everyone gets annoyed, you put it in front dig, and then you hold the rear brakes and you turn the direction you want to, and it actually pivots so you can make 3 times better cornering on a trail, which that comes really in handy. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna show you that, not on a trail, but I'm gonna show you how it corners a little bit better. Are you about ready to front dig? Do you know how to front dig? Let me show you. They probably want to know too. So on a regular 4-wheel drive, I think it's actually backwards, all the way down is high and pulling up is low, but instead of having one that controls both axles, front and rear, you have one stick that controls that front and one stick that controls that rear. That allows you to do rear low wheel drive, 4 low, front low, and 4 high and 2 high. So you have a ton of options with this Atlas transfer case, which is kind of fun on the trail, man, I'm not gonna lie. You probably play with it more than you actually need it. Most guys do that with things. I'm now going to put it in 4 low, front and rear, and I will do the circle around the same one and see the difference in the circumference of the circle. It'll be pretty different. Now can you see how much of a difference that makes on if you had to turn around on a trail? Now obviously I'm not going to make a big loop on a trail like that, but you would end up going forwards and backwards and forwards and backwards, just like Austin Powers. And the Atlas really makes it able to where you can just pivot and go, which on the trail is amazing. One of the things that you're going to notice with having an Atlas transfer case are those low gears. It's almost like she can crawl herself. It's pretty cool. You let out the clutch and you just let her go. Another great feature is the gear ratio in these. My old transfer case was an NP231. It had a 272-to-1 gear ratio. Now when I went to this Atlas, I got a 5-to-1 gear ratio. So it makes a huge difference. So I'm going to show you kind of what that looks like in a side-by-side comparison. So one of the things I want to let you guys know is that when you're wheeling, I learned this from Gencore Racing, Richard Jenkins with Gencore Racing. It's one of the things I never thought about, and it's a pro tip that I wanted to pass along to you. They've got pretty good roots in We Rock. His daughter is actually doing extremely well in We Rock right now. And one of the things, I was hanging out with them, and they said out in Farmington, they always left it in front wheel drive on the trail until they absolutely needed four wheel drive, and they dropped the rear axle into 4 low. And the reason for that is when you're snaking around, you don't have to mess with it. It's already helping you turn as you're going. And one thing that I thought was really cool, and it'll increase your ride and wheelability quality like you wouldn't believe, because as you're going forward, if you're in rear wheel drive or 4-wheel drive, when your front tire hits a rock, your whole suspension and everything hits it, and it loads and it pushes you. When you bump it, you go forward. Then when it grabs traction, it pushes you backwards, because you have this rear positive traction pushing you like this into the rock. So when you leave it in front wheel drive, when you hit that rock, you don't have any positive traction in the reel pushing you into the rock. You're actually just spinning the front until it grabs traction, which is keeping you smoother in the seat. Also, if you're ever on an undercut going up a waterfall, and let's say it's very steep, and when you push into it, if you have these rear tires or the rear axle engaged, it's actually pushing your front tires into that undercut, not allowing you to climb, because it's pushing you down into it. If you take out your rear, it's actually going to spin, and you can work the tires back and forth, and it's actually crawling up how it needs to and wants to do it. And once you get halfway up, or you get those front tires started, you put that rear in, you go right up the waterfall. So now it looks like I gave you guys a lot of positives on an Atlas transfer case, and trust me, they are pretty much all positives. Now, one of the biggest negatives I had with my transfer case, and this might not be everybody, because maybe yours was already overbuilt and ready for an Atlas. Well, with my MP231, I had very few failures and very few breaks, because my gearing to my parts were just an excellent combination. It didn't have enough gearing to break anything. Once I put the Atlas in, I went through double cardons, which wasn't angle, it just ate some because of too much torque on that smaller cardon I had. I went through stub shafts, so I had to upgrade my stub shafts, upgrade my hubs, and it actually broke the welds on my truss. So it really finds every weak point on your vehicle that if you had it and they were just holding up because of your old transfer case, the Atlas is going to definitely, flush those to the top, and you're going to find out all your weak points of your rig, which you should probably know anyway, and then go ahead and fix them. But, expect to put an Atlas in and expect you to find 1 or 2 or 3 things that torque and gearing is going to really try to break apart. I mean, outside of that, I really don't find any other negative. I guess they're a little loud because you hear gear slap, since it's an all gear driven transfer case instead of a chain driven. But outside of that, I mean, the thing's bulletproof. Anyone you've asked that's had them, they last, they don't break, they just work and work and work, and the features are endless. So hopefully you guys liked our review. If you didn't, you can wreck off, but if you did, please subscribe.
Hey,